Hey artists, this is part one of our drawing project. What you're going to want to do is just really focus on scaling up the plans that you created in your collage and getting all of that linear detail onto a larger sheet of paper. So this collage, I'll remind you, is 10 inches by 6.5, and it's all ready to go. And you're going to want to grab a few things to get started. You'll need some green tape, one of these Masonite drawing boards to help keep your larger sheet of paper flat, a larger sheet of drawing paper. This is nice Mayfair paper, and it is double what we've got here, so ×2, which means we are working with 13 inches by 20 inches. Now, mine is vertically oriented, but of course you might be working in this way at your space. And then you're also going to need a lighter pencil, so either HB or lighter. This is a H pencil. You want to be keeping that nice and sharp, and an eraser nearby because mistakes happen. So the first step, once I've got my paper, is to line it up in the center of my drawing board and not losing too much of that edge, but enough that it's going to stay down. You just want to lightly tape it in place with some of this painter's green tape. And since most of our drawings, well, all of our drawings don't have a lot of background area, you don't have to really worry about losing this edge. For many of us, all of our imagery is in the center. If you do have something that goes right to the side, you may just need to adjust your tape when you get to that part of the drawing. Okay, so this is ready to go. Nice, clean, dry working area. And actually, the first thing I'm gonna do is not on my paper, but it's on my collage. And so I just want to find the halfway point. Okay, so from 6.5, that gives me 3.25. I'm just making a little tick mark. I don't know if you're able to see it or not. But you find your halfway points at the top and bottom of the collage, and then very lightly, this allows you to draw a grid vertically. And then you're gonna repeat that same process at 10. That will give me a 5, and on the other side, 5. Just connect those little dots or tick marks. So what in essence I've done here is I've been able to find the dead center of my image, and I also can evaluate this thinking in quadrants, thinking in 4s. I'm not really a big fan of grid drawing normally, but it can be easy to get lost, or when you're scaling things up, just can be a little bit tricky. So here I'm gonna repeat that same step with 13. That means that I'm at 6.5. I'm just gonna make marks on my tape. And you wanna look through that painter's green tape and measure the paper. This is a bit long, and so I'm actually going to do one more that's right sort of halfway down, which is going to allow me to connect my ruler and then shimmy it to keep that line straight. So keep these very, very light, gentle pressure, because we of course are going to be erasing them shortly down the road. Okay. And then since it's at 20 inches in longer way, you want to go 10, and that will give you your sort of target mark here, or your grid of 4. And now the best part of all, whatever you see here, you must draw it as accurately as possible. So sometimes a good place to begin could be, okay, I'm gonna begin from the bottom. I'm just picking I'm gonna focus on this chicken perhaps to begin. And I want to trust my eyes to tell me how much negative space exists as it comes up, okay? I feel like, including my paper, which is down here, sorry, you probably can't see that. Including this edge of the paper down here, I'm gonna come up twice as much as whatever this looks like, right? So I feel as though the chicken and his shadow kind of exist about here. And then I'm not trying to draw crazy details right away, just trying to follow now this leg coming up, goes past that center line slightly, okay? The other leg, where the foot begins here, comes up in a similar way, but a bit higher. And then looking at the body, I see that as sort of a rounded shape here. Very light mark making. I haven't erased anything yet. If I do something that I don't really think is accurate, then I'm going to, of course, change that or fix that first. Okay, I actually might have gone even a little larger than I should have here. That's okay. If things get away from you, you can always fix it or change it. Okay, so one way to check on some of these proportions is to actually keep that ruler handy. So if you're really struggling, you're wondering, let's say, how wide is this chicken, sort of from this part of its body here through to that part of the tail. And if I'm looking, it's 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches on your collage, you got to double it on your drawings. It should be about 5. So I can see here where this lower part of the tail should come down at about 5 inches. That looks good. And then here where it curves around. Same thing for heights of things. I do think when I look at this space versus this, I might have gone a bit too tall. So if that were the case, I like to erase where I think I should be. I think I just made the legs a little bit long. And I just can lower the body. And then when I think, okay, that looks better, or again, you could measure 2.25. So we want to double it. There's my 2.25. Should actually be 4. Yep. So more like here with the back of the bird rather than where I originally drew it. And that's okay. And that happens as you're trying to get these contours started. Okay, so that's just going to allow me to erase. Try to make sure you have clean hands if you're brushing away eraser bits like this, or can just, sorry, you can just tap off any excess or just try to use the back of your hand. Okay, and then I'm going to, of course, continue to just plan out where all of these other little elements are, these little eggs that float up here. And once I have the general outlines, then we go back in and we begin to get all of those beautiful details, every feather on the bird, every little spot and freckle on the egg. But again, not shading, not coloring, just using that light touch with your pencil to do all of the work in line. A linear plan as part 1. Good luck and have fun.